So here's some general information about the house and the land. This video today is mostly going to be about the IT system, the solar system, the water filtration system. Might do future videos about the dog and cat stuff, or the pool, or our kind of underground water filtration room in the future. And today this is mostly going to be talking about our plans for solar and IT stuff. A lot of this we've already spent money on and contracted folks to install, but once they're being installed, I'll make separate videos about that process. And then once we move in and start using these systems, I'll make some follow-up videos on the pros and cons of what we found in our experience with them. So to start, we're going to talk about the IT system. We went with a full UniFi or Ubiquity setup. These historically have been used in corporate spaces, large commercial locations, but they started to bridge the gap down to like prosumer level. And many of you might be aware of their Wi-Fi access points. But UniFi makes a whole host of different devices, cloud gateways, switches, all sorts of Wi-Fi stuff, security cameras, door access stuff, a whole host of different things so that you can have a sort of uniform ecosystem that is controllable through a single interface. And the best part, I think, about UniFi is that there are no subscription fees for any of this stuff. If you really want rock-solid internet and Wi-Fi, security, network addressable storage, place to share your files and such between friends or within the household, UniFi has a very sleek UI and user experience, as well as solid hardware at affordable prices. This is definitely sort of the best place I've found to go when you want to go from just that cheap little ISP modem router Wi-Fi that your cable company, your internet company provides. So we'll start with the sort of brains of the operation. The Dream Machine Pro Max is what we decided to go with. This is what connects to the internet provider's fiber modem and brings internet into the house, and then controls everything within the house and how those things inside the house interact with the intra-network and the internet. So this is the kind of the brains of the operation, where a lot of the software that will be running to control all this stuff will be hosted. Connecting to this cloud gateway, we'll have a ProMax 48 power over Ethernet. It's actually PoE++, 48 port switch. I think they're gigabit, 2.5 gigabit Ethernet ports on all of these. So this is what's connecting all of the Wi-Fi access points through Cat6 Ethernet cable, all of the security cameras, the sensors, and all sorts of various devices throughout the house. So all of those things connect to this, and then this connects to this, and this connects to the internet. We're actually planning on adding, I think, another one of these in phase 2 to handle all of the extra devices, mostly the security cameras that we'll be adding once the outer perimeter wall around the property has been built. But in phase 1, we'll have I think about 10 of these G5 Pro 4K cameras all around the house, at the front gate, near the parking area, etc. We'll also have some 360-degree cameras in certain rooms, like the dog room, the cat room, the server/solar room. And at the front gate, we'll have a slightly more sophisticated AI camera, the AI Pro, which can recognize faces, license plates, vehicles, noises, different types of events, so that we could recognize a license plate or a car and open the front gate automatically, or some suspicious person has been by before and we want to get notified when they appear on camera again. So these make up the bulk of the cameras inside and around the house. And when we get to phase 2, which I'll talk about in a second, we'll add a bunch more of these around the perimeter wall for Wi-Fi access points. So I should mention also that all of these cameras, all of these devices I'm talking about, run through Power over Ethernet, or PoE. So we only need to run a Cat6 Ethernet cable to these devices, and that powers it and provides all of the data back and forth to send to the different apps and video recording devices. So it's a lot simpler than some of the cameras I've seen in use, where you have to run electrical and data cables. So all of that happens on one cable, but once we want to turn that wired signal into a wireless signal for outdoor use and indoor use, we use these two access points. So we have a few of these in the outdoor areas. They're better for all weather sort of situations. And then we have a bunch of U6 Pros pretty much in every room to provide strong Wi-Fi anywhere somebody might be in the house. Because we have a very thick-walled concrete and steel reinforced wall structure, having one of these in every room is pretty much critical if you want seamless, strong Ethernet signal or internet signals, Wi-Fi signals. So this is the network diagram of the plan. This is kind of phase 1 over here for inside and around the house, and this is phase 2 where we add a bunch more cameras along the perimeter wall of the house. So as I mentioned, this is the Dream Machine Pro Max, and for phase 1 we'll put two 12 terabyte drives in there to record all the video and audio that the cameras are recording, and that can save recordings for these cameras. I think it's about 2 weeks, 15 days at 4K. But as we add more cameras around the outside wall, we're going to be adding a dedicated network video recorder with more hard drives, so that we can keep at least 15 days or more of recordings from every camera. So again, all of these devices connect through the switch. The switch then connects to the Pro Max cloud gateway, and that connects to the ISP. For phase 2, we're going to need additional ports, so we're adding a second switch. But here you'll also see the Wi-Fi access points, and all around the house we have Ethernet jacks. So if you want to plug your Xbox or your TV in through wired connections instead of relying on Wi-Fi, each of the rooms in which we have those devices will have at least 2 gigabit Ethernet jacks to plug into and to power any devices that are PoE. In phase 2, we'll also add some intercoms, door access, and gate access devices, and some other things like a large storage system, a network addressable storage system, power redundancy, etc. So here's the view of the first floor in terms of where the cameras and Wi-Fi access points and Ethernet jacks are. So in the entertainment room, we have a TV, an Xbox, PlayStation. So we have some Ethernet jacks here. Out here we have a air quality monitor and other things. But you'll see all around the house are these G5 Pros, and those are going to be positioned in such a way that there are no angles at which you could come towards the house without being caught by at least one of the cameras. So we'll get automatic notifications and 4K recordings of audio and video with AI detections and that sort of stuff. We can keep track of our pets or outside animals that might get in. So these are the kind of outside cameras, and then on the inside we have these 360 cameras to keep an eye on the dogs, upstairs keep an eye on the cats, who's at the front door, what's going on in the server room, etc. Obviously no cameras in the bedrooms, but entering into these rooms you'll be picked up by at least one of these cameras. At the parking area we have another Wi-Fi access point, so that as we approach the house we'll have Wi-Fi from pretty far away. We can control things like the lights or the air cons, etc. And so this is just at the parking area, but as you'll see in phase 2 we'll also have cameras at the front gate. This is the second floor plan. Again, the bedroom, the upstairs living room, the gym, and so forth have their own access points and Ethernet jacks, as well as a 360 camera to keep an eye on the cat. I should mention that this is from UniFi's Design Center website. So their website is ui.com, and if you scroll down and click Design Center, you can add Wi-Fi access points and see them. So maybe I'll go back here for a second. You can place different Wi-Fi access points and then click on this button and see the coverage area. You can also tag your walls. This I've tagged this as double pane glass. This is double walled concrete with steel, wooden doors, etc. And as you move the access points around on this design center, you can see where the signal is strong or weak, or where you might need to add more access points. Similarly, if you click here, if you click here, it will show you the angles, the views, the field of view of each of the cameras. And as you move that around, you can figure out the best spot so that you can see all the different approaches to the house, or what it is you want to record inside the house. So a very handy system, the UniFi Design Center, worth checking out. So I was going to do a demo of that, but it's pretty straightforward, and those pictures should hopefully tell the story. So for phase 2, like I said, phase 1 is everything is connected through here. This is the server room, solar room, laundry room. All at phase 1 is surrounding the house with cameras and access points. Phase 2 is surrounding the perimeter wall, the outer wall, with cameras and sensors and lights and that sort of stuff. So that's the top level on the IT, networking, security stuff. When it's installed, or as it's being installed, I'll make a separate video on that. But I wanted to show this 3D render of what our house should look like before I start talking about the solar setup. So this is fairly accurate so far. We haven't changed much. We've extended this patio and this roof, this patio and this roof. But what you'll notice here is that we have two roofs. So the solar panels are all going to go on this main roof, but we designed it this way with a large air gap here between the second floor ceiling and the roof itself. It's covered in it'll be covered in fake wood lattices and some mesh, some very thin mesh, so that insects, birds, lizards, that sort of stuff can't get in, but that airflow, that wind can blow through these spaces and kind of pull the hot air off of the second floor ceiling. And the reason we have two roofs, one is for aesthetic reasons, but the main reason is that this living, dining, kitchen area is a 4.3 meter tall room, as is the entertainment room. But the guest rooms and gym and so forth, and all of the upstairs, is the normal sort of 3.3 or 3 meter. Ours is 3.3 meter high ceilings. So this is 4.3 plus 3.3. This is 3.3 plus 3.3. So of course this roof is about a meter higher than this one to accommodate this larger open main living space. So that helps show you how this is the smaller, lower roof here, and this is the main, taller roof here. So on the back eastern side of that roof, we'll have 56 645 watt solar panels for a total of 36 point something kilowatts. There are 4 arrays here, so each of these will be on a string to 2 different solar inverters with 2 MPPTs, or multi-point power trackers. It's a little more technical than I'll get into in this video. Maybe I'll talk more in the next. But so these 2 arrays will be controlled by one 16 kilowatt inverter, and these 2 arrays will be controlled by another. These are the solar panels we're using. It's the ICO Comet 2U. Ours are actually the 645 watt version. But these have very good efficiency and a very low year 25 to 30 degradation rating. So after about 25 years, each of the solar panels should have around 90 to 91% efficiency. So, solar panels are pretty cheap. They're very durable, and as long as you don't have things overhanging them or hail or something like that, they should last a lifetime. So these are the inverters that I mentioned. I don't know how to pronounce the name of this company, but we have 2 16 kilowatt inverters, hybrid inverters. So we have 36 plus kilowatt on the roof in the solar panels, but only 32 watts on the inverters. And that's mainly for cloudy and rainy days. So the more panels you have up there, even though there might not be as much direct light or clear skies, you capture as much of that irradiance, that solar irradiance, as possible to feed into the inverters. So in general, the advice is, always oversize your solar panel array a little bit larger than your inverters to cover situations like that. I should point out that we are single phase at our location. If we wanted to do 3-phase, we would have to buy our own transformer. Don't really want to do that, because the goal for us is to be connected to PEA, to the electric company, but to the grid, but almost never pull from it. But to have that connection to the grid is nice in case something does fail with the inverter or the system in general. But in general, the amount of panels we have, inverters we have, and batteries we have, the goal is not to pull any power from the grid except in an emergency. So these are the batteries from the same company as the inverter. These are I think, relatively new batteries, lithium iron phosphate. These are the 10 kilowatts. These are the 5s. So we're going to start with just 2 10 kilowatt hour batteries, and then they're modular, so you can add more later. So once we figure out what that sweet spot is for, charging, running the house off of solar, charging the batteries with the excess power, storing it, and then using it, discharging those batteries at night to run the TVs, the air cons, etc. Once we figure out, what size battery configuration reduces our usage from the electric company to as close to 0 as possible, we'll settle on that. So in general, start with a lower size, and you can add more as you go up. Yeah, one thing I don't like about these is they're not aesthetically pleasing, but they're pretty good tech and made by the same company as the inverter, so there should be some good cross communication between them. This is a SketchUp, just a mock-up of what this side of our server / solar room will look like. This is just a fake picture of the 12U rack that all of the UniFi devices will be in. These are the 2 solar inverters, their breaker boxes, the batteries, and the load center or circuit breaker or consumer unit, whatever you call it. So these, obviously lots of different conduits and electrical wire will be going up to the ceiling, and then up to the second floor, and the second floor ceiling, and across the house for lights, light switches, electrical plugs, etc. And this will be sending lots and lots of Ethernet cables, Cat6 cables, to all of those same places and more. So these are next to each other so that the conduits, the PVC conduits that will be on the wall here, can share the same channels and be pulled at the same time. My decision here was to just put PVC pipes of all those cables, those trunks, visible in this room, because we don't live in this room, so that we don't have to cut into the concrete and chase those conduits. Doing so loses some of the heat and sound insulation, and this is going to be a noisy room. It's going to be, these things are going to generate a lot of heat, and we'll have a aircon in this room running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, throughout the year, to keep this room at 25 degrees Celsius and 50% relative humidity, to keep them running at their peak performance. Also in here we'll have an air purifier and a sensor for moisture, humidity, heat, all that kind of stuff, so that we get alarms should there be any sort of leak or fire or dust. So we'll have an air purifier in here, and that's to keep dust out of these electronics, but also because we're going to have a washer and dryer, a closed washer and dryer, in the same room on the opposite wall, and putting all of these noisy heat-producing things in the same room, it requires an awful lot of electricity to that aircon, air purifier, etc., to keep everything at 25 degrees Celsius and 50% humidity, and as clear, dust-free air as possible. Of course, we have solar, so this is all kind of free electricity during the day, but we didn't want to cut into these walls to put conduits and so forth, chase conduits into the wall, because then you lose some of that heat insulation and noise insulation. And we don't want to hear this room, and we'd want to spend as little electricity as possible to cool this room. So that is the decision on that. But once we get up into the ceiling and the second floor, all of those conduits and cables and wires will be hidden or chased into the concrete walls or the drop ceilings. This is an app called Sun Tracker that was one of the things I used to try to figure out how much, how many panels I wanted, how large battery and inverters. This shows at different points of the year where the sun sets and when the solar panels are going to stop getting or start getting, if you flip this around and look the opposite way. But you can see in June, the sun sets around behind this mountain around 5:40. Earlier in September, but we're going to get a little more sun later in the November time frame, and it sets and rises in different spots throughout the year. We're near the equator, so it doesn't vary that much, but this does help you figure out how much, how many hours of sunlight you're going to get on your panels, when you're going to start and stop receiving that solar energy, so that you can figure out batteries and just size overall. So it's an iOS and Android app called Sun Tracker, and you can just click this AR button here to kind of visualize in 3D space, where the sun is at any point in time on any particular day of the year, in the future, in the past, etc. So let's move on to water. This is our current setup at our house right now. So we have a groundwater well that pumps water into this large holding tank, and then this pump pulls water out of this tank into these 2 stages, or actually 4-stage filter system. This first one I believe is carbon or sand, carbon, and reverse osmosis, or I'd have to look exactly what this one is, but we're going to do something similar. The first stage coarse filter, where you get all the dirt, organic material, all that kind of stuff out. And then this filter here, this container here, is a descaler or softener filter filled with a certain type of resin that pulls all of the limestone and kind of chalky stuff that's in the water here, that stains your chrome faucets and shower heads and stuff. So feeding into that filter is just a saltwater mixture. So we have to refill this salt every few weeks because this backwashes once a day to replenish the ionization of that resin that is necessary to pull that limestone and such out of the water. So that's why we have two stages there. But in the new house, we're going to have a smaller tank here and a smaller tank here. So this is 3,000 liters, but we'll likely have a 1,500 liter and a 1,500 liter tank pre and post filter. And we'll use this tank to feed all of the hoses for the gardens, the grass, the trees, anything outside the house. And then another tank here that'll be kept sanitized through a system I'm not very familiar with, but that will be post filter, and that will feed into the pool pump, the pool water and all the water inside of the house. One thing I should mention, as I kind of hinted at, is that both of these types of filters need to run some sort of backwash to keep them clean. So if you don't want to do that manually, I remember having to do that manually in a previous house. These are programmable to run the backwash according to how dirty or clean your water is, or how much limestone you might have, etc. So for the pool, this company, I don't know how to pronounce it, Emox, is kind of the standard here in Thailand. I'm not sure if they're popular worldwide, but this is the filter system for the pool. So an additional filter, even after all the water's been filtered, an additional filter, because this is going to be looping around, all the dust collecting here, flowing over, needs to be refiltered. And I assume also for certain chemical balance and stuff for pH. These are the pumps we're using. Again, same company. And this is the chlorinator. We will have a saltwater pool, but we still need a chlorinator. A lot less chlorine than a freshwater pool, but still necessary. So that's the three topics that I wanted to go into today. But in summary and in signing off, again, we've gone with a UniFi system for all the hardware, and we chose a company in Bangkok called Infinity IT Success. They've been very good. One of the best parts about this company is that they will service down to the prosumer or home sort of user if you're doing a big project, and they speak English. I think they're actually, one of the directors is American or European. So a lot of the other providers that I was able to find in Thailand do not speak English, or speak so little English that our important communication and ongoing support would be a challenge. So if you don't speak Thai fluently, this is a good recommendation. For solar, I did a lot of research, and VSolar is by far the top choice I've been able to find. They've answered millions of questions, given me lots of advice. They have a solid track record, done hundreds of installations in all of Thailand south of Bangkok, and they might even do northern or Isan area a little bit, but they're focused down in Hua Hin, Phuket, Suratani, Phanga, and Krabi area. So if you're in that area, this is who you should go with. They recommended these inverters and panels, but I've done the research and they seem very solid, so I'm happy with that. There's pretty much no other choice here in Thailand that would match these two companies for filters, pumps, and chlorinators. And Andy Pools, our partner, who could have built the pool structure itself. We had our builder build that, but they are doing all of the pool system stuff, as well as all the maintenance of the pool, adding chemicals, keeping the pH balance, all that kind of stuff, cleaning out the overflow, filters, etc. If they're only Krabi, I think, but They're a fantastic company. And as I mentioned, I don't know who we're going to go with for this part, for the water filtration stuff. But if you know somebody in the Phuket, Krabi, Phang area that you recommend that has a bulletproof reputation and good products for the sort of filtration we want, the sort of system we want, please let me know in the comments. But thanks for watching. As I said, as these things get installed, I'll do separate videos. And I should also just say, this is not what the channel is going to be. These are very long form, detailed PowerPoint slides. But because it's Songkran and all the workers have gone home to celebrate the new year in their villages, nobody's been working. And it was Ramadan before that. So the last 2.5, 3 weeks, there's been very little progress. The next main video will be of the walls going up and the roof, the first roof going up. So that should be out in, I don't know, a few weeks after this one, maybe sooner. I might do, a video showing the progress of those walls and roof, but certainly once those are complete, I'll put out a video on that. Thanks so much.